you very much, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Marlene Bezich. I've been an artist for quite a long time. I specialize in portraiture, animal portraiture, people, but I also do other things as well. But today we're going to discuss drawing and sketching your pet. Now, you're not going to see most of me for the rest of the time. My hand will be obviously on my easel. But as she said, if you have any questions whatsoever, put it in the chat box, and Krista will interrupt. And by all means, I'll answer as many questions as I can. I saw one person had their baby with them. That's really great. I have two babies, but they're not allowed in the room right now because we'd never get anything done. So, so in that case, so without any further ado, we're going to take off, and welcome to my studio, or part of it anyway. All right. So, what I want to do is, I just you might not be able to see really well, but I have a few of the portraits here on the wall that are always here. And today we're going to work in black and white. Okay. Now, the first thing that we have to understand, can everybody see this okay?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's good? All right. The first thing you have to understand with black and white, you don't need a lot of fancy stuff. You could do this with a number 2 pencil, what's called a kneaded eraser, which is this. You see, this is in the packet that I haven't destroyed yet. But what's great about a kneaded eraser is soft, and you can mold it, and it's cheap. It's not expensive at all. You can get them in Michael's, no problem. But they're nice because they're easy on your paper. You can mold them. This is what it looks like when I've done messing it up. But you can pull it apart, and you can, as I'll show you a little later, you can pull out highlights. But more importantly, it's easy on your paper, because when you're working on paper, you want to be cognizant of the tooth. You don't want to really agitate the tooth, because you want to be able to layer a little bit. So all of a sudden you'll see, if you get filled up, it won't take any more pencil or anything, and you certainly don't want to make a hole in the paper. So that's number 1. Number 2, as far as paper is concerned, you can use any good drawing paper. You can use regular sketching paper. There's many papers out there. Some are textured, like this paper I'm going to work on is a little textured because it's also made for pastel. This paper here is very smooth. It's another type of sketching paper. It's a little yellower than this paper, which is fine, unless you're doing something where you need the real crisp white of the paper. And then I would suggest get as white a piece of paper as you can, because then if you're going to save the highlights, they'll be able to be saved. Right now, I have an array of stuff, and everything that I'm showing you, again, you don't need them. A pad of like 16 by 20 drawing paper is fine. Again, you can go to Michael's. Strathmore makes a nice paper. Canson makes a nice drawing paper. So 16 by 20 is fine. 11 by 14 is fine. Now, as far as the different things you can work with, now you can go again to Michael's, and you can get a small set, a small drawing set with about 5 or 6 different pencils. See if you can see this. Hold on. There we go. 5 or 6 different pencils. Now these are drawing pencils. All of these drawing pencils have numbers and letters at the bottom, and that indicates whether they're softer or harder. Now you'll see here, this is I don't know if you can see closely enough. Let's see here. See, that's 6B. That means that it's very soft. B is soft, H is hard. Now, again, depends on the manufacturer. Some manufacturers just do numbers, but most of them either do a number and a letter, or strictly letters. H, B, S for soft. HB, you'll see HB on some pencils. That's kind of like a middle of the road pencil. It's not soft, it's not hard. I don't know why they do that. To me, that's confusing, but there it is. So this is a very simple, like I said, very simple set of drawing pencils. And if they're not expensive, but it's a nice thing to have. Now also I have what's called, obviously, charcoal pencils. Let me go get, gotta follow the camera here. Charcoal pencils. And basically they're compressed charcoal in a pencil. These will give you a thicker line, you see. Now I meant to show you these drawing pencils. Again, this is a 6B. See how soft? That's soft. And now if I take a hard, I'll find a hard one here.
I need both of these.
Okay, here's an HB.
What do you do?
Look at the difference. See, it's a little less graphite.
Oh, all right.
It's a little less graphite than this. See, so they give you a little more pigment or a little more graphite or charcoal. This is charcoal. These are graphite. The drawing pencils are graphite. Now the charcoal pencils come soft, medium, and hard. So again, the softer ones will give you a deeper pigment, a deeper deeper on the paper. Now you also have, what's really cool, now you have a lot of different pencils. They have pencils now that are, this is an ebony pencil, beautiful drawing pencil. Ebony, beautiful. This gives a lovely, look at that line, very light. See, that's the difference. Very light line as opposed to these dark. And why that's important to get a light line like that, when I first start my piece, I always use a hard pencil. Because why? It's very light. I can erase easily. If I try to erase with this, it's going to be a little difficult. See, it's not going to totally erase. That's the charcoal pencil. Where this, it's almost gone. So in the beginning, you want to use either a number 2 pencil is fine. The hardest pencil you have, 2H, 3H, the number 2 pencil, ebony, anything that's, that gives you a nice light line. Light pressure is important. The pressure you put on. I can make that darker by pressing harder, but I don't. See, because if I wanted to do something with just this pencil, I could. But it's just that you get different textures, different looks to it. Also, too, for the frugal in me, if you have a pencil that gets really short, they have these. How dare it mute me? Anyway, I didn't touch. I swear I touched nothing. Okay, so here you've got, this is called an extender, and it's not expensive at all. And what you do, you put the end of the pencil in here, and there's a little ring. You push up, and that holds it firmly in here. And now you've got extra life for your pencil. So it's a good thing to have. Like I said, it's not expensive at all. Now also, most of these pencils, because they're soft, you can't use a normal pencil sharpener. Because ever have it where you're sharpening, and the point just keeps falling off? Well, that's because it's a soft graphite, or especially charcoal. Forget it. You cannot do it in a regular pencil sharpener. So what you do, you take a utility knife and you scrape, you do a little whittling. Then when you get the point down to a certain, up to a certain amount, and you want to sharpen it, then you take, this is a sandboard, and it's regular sanded paper. You don't even have to get this. If you have sanded paper around, you can use that too. And then you take your pencil and you rub it like this, and it makes a point. And that's really the best way to sharpen these pencils.
You hear what she said?
Any questions so far? Everybody good? Good. Okay. Now, also, when it comes to blending, I don't use my finger. Why? Well, first of all, I get dirty enough. But most important, secondly, and most importantly, I don't want to put any of my oils from my skin onto my paper because that's going to affect how my tooth, how the surface of the paper, which is called the tooth, how the surface of the paper is going to accept what I put on it later. And if you want to keep it for a long time, the oil in your skin will get into the paper and start to break it down. So if you notice when you buy paper, a lot of the paper preferably should be non-acidic, and it will say it on the if you buy a pad, it'll say it on the face of the pad in the wording on the bottom, the poundage and if it's non-acidic. So now if I wanted to do a little blending, these here are tightly wrapped, literally tightly wrapped pieces of paper. You have a tortillon and you have a stump. Now the tortillon is smaller for the most part, and it usually has two ends that are pointed. You can put these in a pencil sharpener. You can sharpen them. What's good about these, you see, you can blend with these gently. And that'll work fine without having to touch the paper. All right, now we have, oh yeah, also, this is fun.
Nice with do kitty.
This is powdered charcoal.
Look, powdered charcoal.
This is fun, but very important. Don't do this in the living room or the dining room or the kitchen, any place that you don't want to get dirty, because it is ground charcoal. If you sneeze or blow on it, forget it. It's all over the place. But what's nice about this, and I'll use a little bit of this later, is you take a piece of cotton and you can put it on and make a background. And I can show you the fun things you can do with it once it's on. But as I said, don't use this in a special place because it'll be a mess. And then we have, and I'll show you these things as I'm working on it, but I just wanted to explain what I'm doing. We have here is a battery operated eraser.
Wow.
Yeah, you see. Of course, it doesn't work now. Anyway, it's a battery operated eraser. And what's nice about this, it gives you a really nice erasure. Ah, here we go. Thank you. It's it's really a good eraser, and it's nice because it's almost like a pen. And this happens to be made by Derwent, but I believe General makes them. You can get them online. They're cheap. They're like $10. And what's great too is that they have the erasers. You can replace them. They're cheap. And what's nice, they give you a nice, beautiful. It takes it right off. It's good for when I want to put a highlight in the eye. That's really cool. Then I have another thing here. This is kind of like a Papermate makes this actually, but it's like a Bic pen. You see, here's the eraser, and here's the top. See, like here, and you just click it, and as you click it, it gets longer and longer. The bottom gets longer. Here we are. Yeah. So, and it's a one long replacement. And again, you can replace this, no biggie. And this is good because this is a little less assertive than this. If I want to do a little bit of finer work, I can use this.
Because you always know.
So what's really good about that? All right. So and also we have what's called the woodless pencil. Now you've probably seen these. This happens to be a thick one, but they come very skinny as well, very thin. And they also come hard, medium, and soft. And again, this is graphite without any wood around it. And again, it'll give you a different look.
Show us.
This is nice and big.
Yeah.
Because now I can do a nice fat line. And I can also do a thin line by using obviously the tip. So you have two different ways. You have two different ways of using that. Can you see? Can you all see that? Okay. All right. Now, also, the best thing is what they call vine charcoal or willow charcoal. Now, that is compressed charcoal. It's burnt trees. And this is the thick one, but it comes a lot thinner. And they're, again, very inexpensive. These are what's ground up in that jar that I showed you. That's a vine charcoal. And they do a really, they are so dark. Look at that. I mean, you can see that immediately there. And this is great because then once you have that on, you can come back with your stump, and you see you can blend. You can do a lot with that. So that's another good thing to have. But as I said, you don't need all of this. I would suggest you definitely get some vine charcoal or willow charcoal. Same thing. And they come soft to medium and hard as well. And there's a lot of other things. There's drawing sticks that are very compressed graphite. There's Conti crayons. There's a lot of Conti drawing sticks. There's a lot of things out there that you can use. But basically, this is a pretty good stash. But as I said, you don't need all this stuff. So that being said, any questions before I go on? Okay, good.
So just making sure that we're not using charcoal tonight, right? It's just the pencil.
No, just pencil. You guys use pencil. I'm just going to show you, what you can do. I'm going to use charcoal pencil because you can see it better. Because if I start my drawing with the pencil I usually do, I don't think you're going to be able to see it. So that's the only difference that I'm going to do tonight that I would do in my studio without all you people watching. All right, so now I'm going to take this off. And now the second thing is that when you're going to do a portrait of your pet, doesn't matter what it is, bird, llama, dog, whatever, you have to have a decent photograph. Don't try and draw it if you can't see it, it's not going to come out good. And see if you can get some good lighting. Now I have a couple of other things here. If you can see here, there. Now I'm going to come a little closer. Getting good at this. Okay. All right. See, now you see these two have very nice lighting, especially the little golden over here. These would be really good to do in black and white because everything is clear. You can see it, and it's dramatic lighting. It makes that dog on the left, the little golden, look so sweet. And this horse and the donkey next to him, let's see a little closer. Now you see that the horse kind of disappeared. They both disappear, but the horse even more so. And I'll tell you a story. It works out fine because that horse was an old horse, and he was very, 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 very high strung and shy. And the only way that they can calm him down was to have Bugsy, the donkey, always with him. For some reason, the donkey calmed him down. So you see how the lighting kind of gives you the idea of the personality. Here, Bugsy, he's right out in the front. Hi, here I am. Hello. And the horse is very quiet. He's very, pensive, and he's in the darkness in the back. So this is kind of nice. And this is called, when I do this, I wouldn't do the whole thing, but you could do what's called a vignette. And that's something where things just disappear away. But that's a way to use your photograph to describe a personality, because that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand. Well, people that own and love animals understand. They all have different personalities, and you have to get that. It's not the idea of getting the likeness so much as getting the personality. So the whole ball of wax is in there. So now I'm going to use, this is one of my guys. His name is Ozzy. We call him Ozman. And today he's 15 years old. He's doing pretty good, doing good. I took this picture when he was a little bit younger. But again, it's nice and big. I can see what I'm doing. So now you say to me, well, how do I start? Well, the first thing that you want to do, in this case, his ears are down. But if you have a dog like a German Shepherd or something where the ears are high, you want to make sure, obviously, that you get the ears within. You don't want to have it where you worked hard on the face and all of a sudden you go to do the ears and they're out of the picture, and there's nothing you can do about it. So now, as I said, I'm going to use this charcoal pencil because you can see it better. You guys start with your pencil, your hardest pencil. And what you're going to do is, first of all, in Ozzy's case, as I said, his ears are down. So I'm just going to use a couple of little lines here to say, all right, Ozzy's going to take up space like here. The top of his head is going to be about here, and then maybe down here. Now this is all adjustable. But you see, it's kind of like a big, for the most part, in the beginning, a big oval. So by doing this way, I know I won't go off here or to the right or left there. Now, once I have that, now what I'm going to do is now look at everything on him and on your babies. And imagine what shape they are. What you don't want to do, you don't want to start with which a lot of people do. Immediately they start going for the detail. Well, what happens? Sometimes now his head is slightly cocked. Now, a lot of times what people do, they end up with one eye lower, one eye higher, the nose is this way, the mouth is, and that's what happens when you start immediately to do detail. So what you want to do is you got to think a little looser. I know it's hard, but again, when you look at him now, I look at him, and also too, try to hold your pencil like this. Try not to do it this way, because what happens? You get all tense. That's not good. So just hold it like this. Hold it loose. So the more you think loosely, you can adjust. You can look and get to know your baby or whoever you're drawing. Get to know him. Kind of just get to know him. Now, I'm looking here. Now his nose here, that's kind of like a circle. It's kind of like an oval, actually. So I'm just going to put a little oval here, very lightly, or if it's dark enough so you can see it. I'll get dark in a minute so you can see, but little oval here. All right, now, the important thing from now on is now I want to make sure that I have the right angle, because he is tilted a little bit. His head's a little bit tilted. So first of all, I'm going to do what's called a crown line. So we'll do a crown line up and down, and that gives me the angle of his head, because you notice, even though he's looking straight at me, he's a little, like I said, he's a little tilted, and this side here is a little bit wider than this side. So you have to be, so that's why this line helps me. Make it darker, you can see. Yeah, this line helps me in doing that. I'm going to switch to I just want to make sure you guys can see it. And I don't think you can see it. I'm going to switch to a vine charcoal so you can really see what I'm doing. Here, that's the circle, and here's that. Here. Yeah, so you can see that better. All right, so like I said, do you guys use the pencil? All right, now we got the eyes and the nose and the mouth. Now you notice the eyes. Now if you have your pencil, you follow your pencil. The eyes line up with the nostrils, line up with the mouth. So the nose is not going to be, the nostrils of the nose are not going to be this. It's going to be this way. So in order for me to be able to make sure, and again, these things will be adjusted. A lot of times I'll stop, take a look at my piece, because sometimes as you're working, you don't realize it, and you might make a mistake, and this eye could be higher, a little bit higher, a little bit lower. So I'm going to say, so about midway, I'm going to put another line like this. And notice it's on an angle. And I'm going to put another line across here. And I'm going to put another line across here, just underneath. And that's going to give me, in the beginning, a rough angle. Right, now you come to his ears. Right, now his ears, they're kind of like a triangle, right? Yeah, you kind of think of a triangle, a little bit. So right now, I'm just going to put where I think they might be, a triangle. Now, very important to notice, again, because his head is cocked, what happens? This ear is a little bit higher than this ear, you see? So these are things you have to kind of keep in mind as you're working. And don't worry, it's not going to be perfect directly in the beginning. So I'm just going to put a little bit of a triangle here, and then a little bit of a kind of a triangle here. Just a little bit, just a little bit. Again, it's all shapes, just a shape. How's everybody doing, okay? Everybody good?
Sounds good.
Yes.
Okay. All right,
I
because you should,
have a question.
sure.
How do you know how big to make, I guess, the snout?
Okay, we're getting to there. All right, now,
Okay.
well, his snout here, his snout happens to be rounded, but I can understand if you've got like a German Shepherd or a Pekingese or something with a more of a pointy snout. Again, just look at it and look at it as a like this guy here. If you look at the golden, okay, to this golden right here. Now you see the snout. Doesn't it kind of look like a triangle here? And then you can put a circle.
Mhm.
And a good way to figure that out too is, again, use your pencil and then take the eye, for instance. Go to one of the eyes and use your pencil as a measuring tool. Go to the eye here. I want to make sure you can see. Go to the eye here, measure the length of the eye, put your thumb on it. This is rough. Now go down. 1, 2. So about 2 eye lengths to the nose, to the bottom of the nose. That gives you an idea as to how big the nose will be, on top of using the shapes of the nose that remind you of the nose to begin with. And just use the eye as an example, as a relative measure. And just like I said, just go down 1, 2, and you're at the top of the nose. You want to know how wide the nose is? Again, go back to the eye, measure it a little, and then it's a little more than an eye width. So a little bit more, maybe an eye width and a half. Does that help you?
Thank you.
Okay. So, right, so now I have that. So now what I'll start to do, again, is to kind of get an idea. Again, now, how far apart are the eyes? The same idea. I'm going to use this, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take the length of an eye and go 1, 2. It's about 2 lengths. See, depending on the breed, but most of the time, animal eyes, dog's eyes, there's 5 or 6 eye width. So again, if I take this and I go 1, because the head starts over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, so you can tell how wide the head is, again, by measuring, using the length of the eye to measure across, as well as his nose. Take the length of the eye, and his nose happens to be the same as the eye. So now what I'm going to do, just again, I'm still doing this loosely, but I'm just going to put in a little circle or a circle here, and then we'll do 1, 2, roughly here. After a while, you'll kind of get better at it and understand it more and be a little looser about it. You won't have to do that much measuring, but still I do measure. Now from here to here, this is the thing. He's little. So from the bottom of the eye to the top of the nose, we might be a little long here. So again, I'm going to measure the eye here, and it's about 1. Measure my eye here, go down. I'm almost there. Okay, not bad. All right, so I'm just going to put a line here. And his nose, this little nose, kind of looks like a triangle, doesn't it? So I'm just going to, for now, I'm just going to put a little triangle. But notice, see that line there? This side of the nose, nostril is a little bigger than this side. That's referred to as foreshortening. So that helps you with the turn of the head. All right, so now we have that. And now his mouth, again, it's quite close to the nose. So right now I'm just going to put an indication, but I got to make sure, again, that the mouth, nostrils, the eyes, they're on the same angle. And I use this all the time, like either a pencil or whatever I have to measure. All right, so now you have that. So you see how just by being very loose, now you've got kind of a map. You've mapped it out. You've mapped it out. All right, so now what we do is, now I'm going to go back. So now again, you got to, if you have a German Shepherd or whatever, cat, whatever, I use the eye again. And I use the eye because it's convenient. It's clear. You guys, if you've got a German Shepherd or a dog with a long snout, you can use the length of his ear. If you have a German Shepherd with a tall, with the taller ears, use the length of the ear, because sometimes dog snouts are long enough that it's the length of one ear. So again, try and utilize that, and it's really a big help. But in this case, he's a little guy, so I'm just going to take, again, the eye, and I'm going to go 1, 2. It's about 2. And this is all rough because the thing is, when you draw, when you're doing this, you're gradually getting the likeness. You're not jumping into it. So you're always going to adjust. One of the most famous portrait artists, he died recently in April, was Daniel Green. And I went upstate to his studio. And that man, he was a genius, but he would always stop in the middle of his portrait session. And what did he do? He reevaluated, he remeasured, and he corrected. So, this is not the end all. This is not the beginning of, and that's it. You're always adjusting. You're always looking to make sure that you don't go off, get crooked or whatever. All right, so now I'm just gonna, like I said, two eyes. So we'll see how close I am. All right, not bad. All right, so now I'm just going to use this, and I'm just gonna follow along. Get a rough idea. Follow along the outside, because it's almost like I'm almost like a sculptor that I'm chipping away at my rock. You see, and over here too, just moving it down. And again, I'm not getting fancy yet. I'm just making sure that that's longer than that. And now, and I must tell you, it's important that you at least know a little bit about the animal anatomy. You don't have to know every muscle or anything, but just kind of every now and then, see if you can look at a book that tells you about, that shows you the skeletal system of your pet, just so you know what's underneath this. I mean, it's very helpful because a lot of times, well, obviously there's hair all over, and but there's a jaw here. The jaw is here, and then it comes here, and then it comes out here and here. So it's very good to understand what you're drawing. Now I'm going by the jawline here, just following what I see. Just following what I see here, and then underneath here is his bottom lip here, and then here. Now here, right over here, with the terriers, you want to make sure that you have that. So I always make it a point to do like a half circle here. This way I know that that's a most important thing. Then I come over here. Now you see here, I need to come in a little more. Because I can tell. If you just use the eye, and it's really only about one, and I was a little farther over. So again, that's what you do. You just very, very carefully, very gently, just figure it out. Just kind of, look around, get a general idea. All right, like that. Then you can, you can do other things down here, but I just right now want to concentrate on here. Okay, so far, you see how now so far now we have the framework of him. Everybody keeping up okay? You doing all right?
Yep.
Okay, good. Don't be afraid to ask a question. So, because I'm not there with you, so I want to make sure. Usually I walk around and see how everybody's doing. So don't be afraid. All right. So now I have that. So now I'm going to go back in here, and now that I'm kind of comfortable with what I see, now I'm going to. This is what you do with the pencil as well. Now I start to just kind of go and do the eyes a little more in detail, just a little more. Not a lot, just a little bit to kind of get the feel of it. And then what I'll do now with the pencil, do the same thing. Excuse me. Now you can do this. You can start. In this case, his hair is wavy, and it's fun to go backwards like this. Don't try to do every piece of hair. This is very loose, goosey-loosey. Come over this way. Now, also, I look at my lights and darks as well. Now, the light on this one is coming from the left to the right, as you can tell by here. But the eyes, excuse me, the eyes are always in shadow. So right now, I'm just going to take my charcoal and I'm going to make it darker. The eyes are always in shadow, and it's in shadow there. I'm just going to do this, and underneath here, underneath the nose. Now the nose, I can come in here while I'm looking at it, and see again, you've got a triangle here, and you got a little one over here. So I can go in there, do another little triangle here and a triangle here, but make sure that this nostril is a little bigger and on a tilt from this nostril. But again, and also a little bit, and then put it in shadow. Bottom in shadow. That's in shadow. Underneath is in shadow. Just put it in shadow. Anything that you see, that's in shadow. Do the whole thing. This whole thing here. Just like that. Kind of put it in this way. A little here. There. See? Just put your shadows in. Put your shadow in. And that'll help you. The shadows will even help you draw your animal. your baby. So now that I have that, now I'm going to show you something. And now with your pencil, just do that while I show you something. If I take this is that ground charcoal. I'm going to put it in the background. You can do this with the willow charcoal. You can even do this with your pencil and rubbing it, putting more pressure on it. But for right now, just stay with your pencil and don't. See, I'm just going to do this a little bit here. And I'm going to leave that to now for a minute. And so now if you have your pencil, you can start doing this. Start looking at the way that the fur grows, the direction, not particularly every little thing, but just the direction. See here and here, and then of course his fur comes up here. And when you're doing your pencil, leave the white of the paper for the lights. So try and leave white of the paper for where you want your lighter parts are for now. There. And like I said, don't try and draw every little fur, piece of fur, because it's not going to work. It's going to look like it's not going to look like fur. It'll look terrible. It'll look like grass. See here. Now here, in this case, in that case, see, I leave the light, darken the eyes again. I leave the light of the paper, the white of the paper, and I just kind of go around it. This is dark here. And then I, always reintroduce your darks, because as you work on it, you're going to lose your darks. So anywhere you see the darks, just put them in. And notice too, I can go backwards. You can do the same thing with your pencil. With your pencil, you can use the side of the pencil and go up like this. I don't know if you can see that well, but that's why I'm using the willow, because you can see more with it. All right, so use your pencil. And if you have a short-haired dog, if you have a short-haired dog, then just do your shadows, and then you can go back later and start kind of doing this. This is hatching, and the closer the lines are to each other, the darker it gets. So if you look how the fur grows, that's what will show you the direction of your lines. And it's a lot easier once you put your shadow in. Once you have your shadow in, it's a lot easier to go back in and put and put your hatches in, and they're closer together, makes them a little darker. And if you stroke them in the way that the fur grows, you'll see it begins to look realistic. But you don't want to sit there and try and do every one. I'm just doing general feel. And like I said, I can go backwards. I'm just getting a different texture with this. And I'm only doing this here so you can see it. So if I was in my studio, no way it would be this dark at this moment. But I'm just using this, again, just to get an idea. Yeah, look here. I look for the general feel of everything here. Get my middle tones, and middle tones are darks, because it's dark right in here. Dark over here. See, I do a little bit of this, and then I go back over and do darker. Just by hatching. See, this is hatching. This is cross hatching. Now, normally the hatching is good for this. Now, cross hatching, you might want to, if you're doing just pencil, cross hatching comes in good for the nose because it's not fur. So it's good to use that for the nose. See here, I can come back and make it a little small, a little shorter. Do it darker. I do it a little bit at a time. I don't get too dark too quick. And I'm just looking, okay. Now, how's everybody doing, okay? Everybody's quiet, so you must be doing good.
Yeah.
All right, now don't forget, ask me questions if you need to. All right, now, I'm going to use this kneaded eraser, the one I showed you. This is the one I use. It's all messy, but I ripped it up and everything. So this is good because now the kneaded eraser, I can come in and see these little feelings of lights. I can take the kneaded eraser and pull out my lights like this. Pull them out this way, like that. You can do that. And you can also come back in and use your stump, the stump that I showed you. And you can come in and do this, you see. Now you can come back in and do a few softer effects. Pull up, and I go backwards too. It's not always the same stroke. You can go backwards, especially here, especially these areas where, see, this is fun right here. Just pull. And the parts that you left white, well, it's fine because they'll stay that way. They'll be a little lighter and it'll be a little easier to pull out when you need to. And you can also, with your pencil, you can also, use your kneaded eraser to pull out too, to pull out highlights. And I'm going to come back in. Oh yeah, over here. Need a little bit of softness. Then we'll pull a little bit out this way. This way. You see that? Boom. Wait just a minute. There you go. This way, I'll pull it this way. See? Pull it. And you can pull this way. There. You can clean your You can pull them out this way. That's part of the light. This way. A little here. I can come back with my stump. Very light down there. If I want to come back, see, I can just, if I need to just make it a little softer here, like these little medium tones, I can do that. Do a little here. Make it softer. Pull a little here, and then down this way here. Pull down that way. A little bit this way. That way. that way. Pull this way. And you clean your eraser as you go, because yeah, look at that. So you can just start to pull. Use the side of the eraser. Now at this point, I'm going to go back in to the eye. And now with his eyes, they're very dark. Now mind you, some breeds, you can really see a beautiful eye. You can see, their eyes are very clean, like a German Shepherd's eye. They're very clean, very crisp. You see a lot of times they have a beautiful, gorgeous brown iris here. And of course, a nice big dark pupil. Dogs' pupils are a lot bigger, than people's pupils. But they're huge, they're pretty big. And then over here is the iris part. And with a lot of dogs, it's basically, some of them are darker, but a lot of times with the shepherds and things, they're very beautiful brown. And the browns here, you can play with them as the iris comes up underneath the eyelid, it gets darker. So you're not going to have, your iris is not going to be the same color all the way around the pupil. It's going to be darker as it goes up underneath the eyelid. So you use a darker brown underneath, or a darker stroke with your pencil. Your pencil, put a little more pressure on your pencil, and it's darker up here. But then as the light comes around, it's lighter as it comes around here. So just bear that in mind. It'll help make it round looking. And of course, the same thing. Leave a piece of the paper white for your highlight. Don't make the highlight too big, which I'll show you in a minute here. Don't make the highlight too big. And I like just smush the rest of this, but that's okay. Now I'm going to make his eyes in. I'm going to put his eyes in. Put that back. So you never get upset. Put him back here. Put all this back. So I'm going to do his eyes. Again, his eyes are very dark. And that's what I'm going to use my willow charcoal for. Make sure in his nose. And when you're doing the eyes, just make sure you do them at the same time. Whatever I do to this one, when I work on this one, I work on this one. This way they're both the same. They're both the same. Fix this here. Now I made that nice and dark underneath, as I said to you. But then I'm going to go, this is where I can take my that paper mate eraser, and very gently I'm going to just do a little of that side light, that little bit of light here, very soft, because it's not all just one highlight. And I'm also going to do a little bit here with the tortillan, or the stump, so I can make that. There. And then I'm going to take my kneaded eraser and I can mold it. See, I can mold it to a point. get this out of my way. I can mold it to a point and use that to start to pull out a little bit and pull out a little bit there. Now, if you need to readjust, you can and go back in here and make it a little darker. Same thing here, I can make it a little darker. While I'm down here, and of course do a few little, see here with the mouth, you can go backwards too, do a backwards, and that'll make the, see that makes the fur look like it goes around the mouth, go backwards, backwards, backwards. Same thing here. And now I'm going to use my famous little battery operated eraser. And you got to kind of practice with this because it does have a bit of a jump back. Actually, before I do that though, you see, you don't want the highlight too bright. You don't want your lights in there too bright. Same thing here. Don't make your highlights too big. But there, I don't know if you can, just a little there and just a little there. And then I'll take this other, my paper mate eraser. And all these erasers, when you want to clean them, you just rub them on a abrasive paper or board or whatever. I'm just going to pull a little bit out there. So you just give it a little bit of a sheen. So it makes the eye look like it turns there. And now here, where the nose is, I'm going to put a little bit of a highlight with my kneaded eraser there. And then I'm going to take, again, my paper mate little eraser, because see these little tiny, you want to make the nose look like it's got moisture to it. I'm just going to pull, and you might not be able to see this, but just a little like that. And you can go back in and readjust a little bit. Make this a little darker here. Make it a little darker there. There, a little darker there, a little darker here. Then I can go in with my little eraser, my battery operated eraser. A little there, a little there. And we'll do a little bit there. Now, if you think that's a little too bright, I'm going to take my little stump or Totilian and just kind of tick a little, very lightly, just to tone it down a little bit. There. Now I'm also going to go back in here. Now, as you're doing with your pencil, you know, as you want to get darker with your pencil, just put more pressure. Just more pressure as you go. And that will make it darker. A little less pressure, you'll get middle tones. Now I'm just going to pull a little bit of this in. And now I'm going to take my kneaded eraser again. And let me just see here. Actually, we need a little here. This is darker. Take my kneaded eraser. Now I'm going to pull down this way. Pull down that way. Again. Just kind of. And this is a quick way to do it. Put a little There. Keep rubbing up against it. Yeah.
Marlene, we have a question asking if you can go over how you organize the head with the lines in the beginning. How you
Uh-huh.
make that head.
Okay. All right, how you organize the head is like in his case, he's a circle, basically. You look for shapes. Look for shapes that are conducive to your subject. In his case, he's got a lot of roundness here. And the ears, you can kind of think they're triangular. So in this case, what I would do is do a circle, do a basic circle here, a big circle. And when you're on your paper, do it where you have, we just make marks about where the circle is going to take up, because you don't want to go outside your paper. You want to be able to keep it all in one. So once you have your circle, see, and then you make another circle, in his case, because he's got that type of nose, of snout. So that's kind of like an oval. Then I do what's called a crown line. This is when you use plumb lines. You do the same thing when you're doing human portraiture. You do my crown line goes right down the middle. But you see, in this case, because he's turned, this part here, there's more on this end and a little bit less of his face on this end. And just so you make sure that in his case, because his head is tilted, you want to make sure that you follow suit. So in this case, you've got a line here that's just tilted enough, and the nose line here that's just tilted enough, and then a little mouth here. And that's what you'll have. That's what I started with here. And once you have that, then you can go back in and just basically see where you're, kind of just make an idea where your eyes are going to be roughly. And I showed you how to use the pencil to measure by using anything. But in this case, I use his eye, the length of his eye, and you can measure how many eyes down to the nose, how many eyes, if you're going to do all of this, how many, you can use the nose, how many noses down. And that's how you can tell if you're on the right track, if you measured it enough, measured it good enough. And then once you have that, then you cut in and start putting in what start doing and putting in roughly what you see. But you don't want to get crazy with detail right away. You just do it a little bit at a time, adjust as you go along. You notice I'm adjusting because I keep leaning up against this, and adjust as you go along. I can come in again, make that a little darker. Okay, just like that. Make his nostril a little darker. Make sure the nostrils are on the same angle, and as well as his mouth. Does that answer that question for that? Is that good enough?
Yes,
Yes.
thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. I know everybody's busy drawing. And it just, now if you're doing your pencil, like I said, if you're doing your pencil, you can pull the lights out with your kneaded eraser. But your pencil is going to be more of using the, can you see this here? Yeah, using the pressure of the pencil. So in the beginning, it's lighter. And then as you get darker, you press on it heavier and you'll get darker. And the lines are closer together. And don't forget, leave the white of the paper for your highlights, for your lighter areas. Then once you do that, then you can kind of come into the light areas and adjust them. You can make them a little small, Like in some places they're a little slightly darker, and in some of the places they're a lot lighter. So you want to, so you might leave a little less, take a little more of the paper away. But always, it's best to leave more light. It's best to leave more paper than not enough paper. And then this way you can always go in there and see, I just pull that, and this. I'm using my eraser to even blend the blend the charcoal, or blend the pencils won't blend as well. So when you're doing it just in pencil, you have to make sure that you just work on that pressure part, work on the pressure, and do a lot of the stroking with the pencil on the fur. Like I said, do your darks first, and then your middle tone, and then leave the white of the paper for your lights for now. Then as you go in further, as you progress further, then you can take away some of the light of the paper, and then you'll end up with whatever is really light. See, like right here, I would probably leave the whole top of this light if I was working in pencil. And leave it white, and then gradually go in and chop away at it until I leave only a few parts of it for the lighter areas. So I'm just going to keep leaning on it. And then that's when I use this again. Yeah. And I use it here. Now also what you can do is go in with this, and you can you can pull and make fur, make it look like fur. I can do it with this eraser, I can do it with a kneaded eraser, but this gives me just a little different look. You see, you can pull it out here, I can do it here, not so much here, because it works better if you need a very thin hair, like especially over the eyes. Especially, the terrier nose. But for the nice soft, I would use the kneaded eraser. A little here. Now see, that I can come back and see all these different erasers give me different feels. And with you using the pencils, this is where your soft, hard, and the really soft, hard, and middle hard pencil would make this happen. You start out with the hardest pencil, and then when you feel comfortable, then you go in with a softer pencil, slightly softer. So the softest pencil is probably like about a 9B or 8B, but it depends on what you've got. If you just have a number 2 pencil, which is fine, just lean on it heavier, put more pressure on it. Because you see, it's kind of like it's really the gray scale. I can just use this one pencil, and see, I start out lightly. Can you see this from here? Yeah. I start out lightly, and then press a little harder, press a little harder, press a little harder, press a little harder. And you see, I can get the same values with just using the pencil and just leaning on it a little harder. So if you don't have a few different softnesses of pencils, you can use just one. But if you have a couple of them, then just start with the hardest pencil and then progress a little bit to like your middle hardness pen, the HB. If some of you have an HB, that's like middle of the road. And then as you progress, and when you want to make the nice deep darks, that's when you go to the soft pencil, because that's what'll give you like an 8B, 9B, 6B. That'll give you a really good really good dark in the eye. And if you leave, like I said, you leave the white of the eye, you leave the paper in the eyes for your highlight, then to do the same thing. Leave more paper than what you need. And then this way, all you do is go in and take a little more, until you just have enough highlight. You don't want to make the highlight too big. You don't want to make the highlight too big. And if you do, it doesn't look real. It doesn't look good. Now I'm going to try something because I don't know. I'm just going to try and bring this a little closer now. That's a little better for you to see. Now you see how, how just by doing that, you kind of get a pretty good indication. I wish I could see what you were doing. I missed that.
Joan is sharing with us. Hers looks good.
Oh, good. Look at that. Good girl. That's Joan, right? Joan. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, nice. That's not bad, Joan. Yeah. Did you find that helpful doing in shapes? Yeah, see? Beautiful. Beautiful. See, it's helpful when you think about it in shapes first. What's your dog's name?
His name was Leo. And yeah, he passed.
Yep,
we're looking for a new baby.
Yeah, that's good.
But,
that's good.
This picture is done in the full sun, so it was a little hard to get any shading on his fur being all white. But
yeah, especially all white.
Yeah.
Now, a good thing with all white, sometimes if you do just using charcoal, if you do it on a gray paper, a lot of times that helps. That's a good way to do a white dog.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, but the white dog on regular paper like this, you either use the ground charcoal that I have, or you can take the willow charcoal or the vine charcoal, and you can just do this behind it. And then all you do, whoops, well, that was nice. All you do, I forgot to make it better. But all you do is, all you do is do the same thing. Do the same thing I did, and pull out the shapes from the background, from the dark background. What happened? From the dark background. And that's how you can pull out the shapes when you have a white dog. Sorry about that, guys. There. So, like I said, you just do that, and then you can go back in and pull out the shapes this way. Pull out the white shapes. You can use the tortillon.
Okay. I'm finished.
Blend it backwards. This way you have a background that you can carve out the white.
Right. Here's mine.
Let's see.
Here's
Oh.
I don't I tried. That's Clarabelle.
Yeah.
That's great.
That looks terrific.
Thank you. I tried.
Anybody else have stuff? Anybody else can show me?
I think everybody else is shy.
Clara.
Well, this is great, Marlene. Thank you so much. You
Oh,
gave a
I
lot of
hope everybody enjoyed it.
Thank you.
I hope you learned something
I learned a lot. Thank you.
and see how klutzy I am, even home. No.
Well, you know, we all do that.
But if you have any additional questions, please email me. My email is B as in boy, E, Z as in zebra, ICH, artist number 1 at AOL.com. So it's not BZ, it's BEZ, artist. B as in boy, E as in Edward, Z as in zebra, artist 1, the number 1 at AOL.com. Don't even know my own email. And if you email me or contact the library, and they'll be more than happy to put you in touch with me, and I'll be more than happy to help you out
Okay,
until we
thank,
can really physically meet again.
okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay,
You take care. Everybody be safe.
you too. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you so much, Crystal.
You're welcome. Thank you. It was lots of
Okay.
fun.
Oh, good. I'm glad. You guys take care now.
You too. Good night.
Good night.